iLive Radio is changing the way you listen to radio.
Are you looking for that feel-good music? The kind of music that makes you want to share with your friends? Then you've been looking for iLive Radio, your #1 source for music lovers worldwide, playing a variety of hits from soul, reggae, gospel, jazz, hip-hop, funk, and everything in between. Download the iLive Radio app now and listen to us when you're on the go. Available on iTunes and the Google Play Store. You can also listen live on TuneIn and Alexa. iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
The Soulfest Lounge returns this new year, Wednesday the 19th of January 2022, with host Julie Payne and the Soulfest Lounge UK Band at the Night Owl, 5 Station Place, Finsbury Park, London N4 6DJ. Music supplied by our resident DJ Jukes. Book your open mic slot today for the Soulfest Lounge. Send an email to soulfestloungeuk@iLiveUK.com. Follow us on Instagram, Soulfest Lounge UK. See you there.
This is Zims, and I'm inviting you to join me for choir practice every Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. on iLiveUK. Choir practice will be bringing you music from a variety of groups, choirs, and solo artists, everything from Mississippi Mass Choir to House Gospel Choir. So join me Mondays, 7 to 8 p.m. on iLiveUK. UK. Told you I was coming.
DJ Illusion. Join me every Tuesday between 7 and 9 p.m. UK time, right here on iLive Radio with The Flashback Show, changing the way you listen to music.
Yeah, iLive Radio.
The Flashback Show, across the World Wide Web.
iLive Radio.
The days when the nights were young.
Ray Hendricks welcoming you wherever you may be to Slipping Into Darkness at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time each and every Wednesday on iLive Radio. I guarantee a selection of superfine jazz and insightful conversations with my special guest. Keep it locked to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
Welcome to iLiveUK. This is Deep Sound here, telling you to tune in to the Beats and Bass Show every Tuesday, 9 to 11, showcasing the best in 140 dubstep and grime, and sometimes going across the board, featuring guest mixes, artists, and guest DJs. So tell a friend, every Tuesday, 9 to 11, Beats and Bass Show on iLiveUK, changing the way you listen to music.
You're listening to Shay Boogie DJ.
On the house that Boogie built.
Playing bangers after bangers after bangers. Hold on, did I mention he'll be playing bangers?
Each and every Friday from 9 to 11 p.m. right here on iLive UK, changing the way you listen to music.
iLive UK want to hear from you. You can get in touch by calling us on 0208 638 8503, or you can send a WhatsApp message, text only, to 07564 265 257. You can watch us live on Twitch and Mixcloud, and whenever you miss a show, you can listen back via our podcast page at iLiveUK.com. Don't forget to download our iLive Radio Network app from the Google Store and take us on the road with you. It's iLive UK across all platforms, changing the way you listen to radio.
iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
Lightning strikes the beach. 80 degrees. Warm it up for me. Finally free. Found the part of me. And I want you to see I can walk on water. From shore, I can float on the water. Father, hold me close, don't let me drown.
revenge, I threw my sins over the deep end. Sipping till my stomach hurt this month, I done lost 3 friends. Early morning brainstorming, normally I can't sleep in. Sometimes I just wanna restart it, but it all depends. If I'ma be that same young hungry from West End. But my heart is wrong, and the crazy part, I ain't have no pen. Maybach interior came with sheepskin. Still remember when I just had 3 bands. Now I'm the one everyone call on, cause I got deep pants. Bro told me the way to beat the game is on the defense. And never face my name, so they might call me, but they gon' respect it. And I feel like you better off trying to call, I might not get the message. And she just tried to run off with my heart, but I blocked off the X. Yeah.
on Twitter, Instagram.
OnlyFans.
No OnlyFans. I mean, nobody wants to see my OnlyFans. Trust me. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Skillit
cool.
World, SKILLIT World.
Cool. And I'm also joined today by Dane Baptiste. Hi, Dane.
Hi, Dominican Emz. How are you? Ryan
You didn't know
Skillit,
what
what's
to
happening?
call me, isn't it?
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to get the government. Yeah, I'm playing with names at the moment.
Worse, to be honest with you, so it's fine.
Well, shame on those people, but
Innit? It's judgmental.
Innit? It's a pleasure to be.
Shame on them.
They don't know you, Emz. That's all it is.
They don't want to get to know
Some people
me.
just meet the Dominican Carnival Queen. Some people meet the firecracker that wants to get things done. The presenter.
Come on, Dave. Come on, Dave.
Talking up the things and that. Thank you for having me on the show.
No, thank you.
Thank you for being here as well. Thank you for joining. So I am here each and every Saturday between 2 and 4 p.m. We are here on iLiveUK. So as I said, I'm joined by my co-host today, Ryan Skillit.
Yep.
I'm going to keep calling you Ryan by accident
because we're like family.
We are. We're going to have to explain that in a little bit. We're going to have to explain like the relationship.
No problem.
I'm going to explain how we met as well, Dane, as well. So today, if you've got any comments, questions, qualms, anything, if you can just let us know, you can just contact us via the studio numbers. And if I read those out, the studio number is 0208 638 8503, and again that's 0208 638 8503. No WhatsApp, we haven't paid the bill. You can email if you're like really old school and you've got time on your hands. Who's emailing to Big 2022? But if you want to email us and just be extra, you can go to iLiveUK at iLiveRadio.com. And again, that's iLiveUK at iLiveRadio.com. But the easiest thing I would say to do is either to go on to Twitch, go on to Mixcloud where you can watch us live and you can go in the chat box, or you can go on the iLive website if you're just listening today. And you can just go in the comment section there. And then myself, Ryan, maybe Dane, if he's bougie, like I know you're a celebrity and all that, but if you've got time today, babes, you can help us out with some of the comments then.
I'll be happy to.
Okay, cool.
Here to help pitching in all of that.
A Grenadian man that like kind of works with people. Okay, cool.
I didn't normally work by themselves.
I don't know.
I mean, work-wise, I can't be like that, you know. When
Okay,
it comes to my my work in comedy, it's just like focus.
What tunnel vision?
Yeah, basically.
And maybe you're a bit protective of your art as well. Probably.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I think you have to be though in this field.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like it's unfortunately it's a truth you have to accept when you become a performing artist in businesses that greatness and goodness aren't the same thing, and sometimes
as much as
you hurt people on the quest for greatness.
And as much as we're all black, is a side of that just in ourselves. When you've got like a drive and ambition, when you want to get something done, you're going to get that done anyway, regardless of what your ethnicity, religion, race, creed, or whatever it is. Just so I keep everybody updated as well. So I did mention that we had Padisa. That was the event that was on the 26th of December. It was amazing. We have the next instalment, which is scheduled to be the 5th of March, but we'll just keep you posted. But keep that date in your diary free for now. And that's the 5th of March. That's Padisa. And you will hear bouyon, dennery, soca.
Oh gosh. Soca music.
Yeah, and we're going to play a lot today as well. I've covered everybody's islands in this room today.
Okay.
So our producer is Vincey and Lucian. We've got Vincey and Lucian.
Did you cover Guyanese soca?
No, we don't need to do that.
That's perfect.
And it's soca Guyanese if you do that the right way.
Shout out to my Guyanese people. I'm only playing.
Yeah, that's you. We've got Grenadian. We've got a little bit of jab as well today. We've got a bit of bouyon and dennery as well for the Creole contingent. You've got to represent for the, I don't even like calling it the French Caribbean, but the Creole speaking part of the Caribbean, because you like to mug us off and forget about us, but I don't. And before I go any further, if I just read out the names of the songs that we started off with as well. We had Kanye West with Hurricane. We had Nas with No Phony Love. Then we had Drake with Girls Want Girls. And then we have Nas with Speechless. These were actually you guys' choice. So I'm going to ask you guys really quickly, quick fire. Ryan, why Hurricane?
I just think it's a beautiful song, man. You know, Kanye West, he always hits the nail when it comes to the sentimental, meaningful. I mean, that song was a song about him cheating on Kim Kardashian, but it's still very like, but he does when it comes to
put eloquently,
100%. You know, when it comes to like speaking about his real life, he is amazing.
It's raw, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful, man, and he's so honest.
And we were talking off air, like there's something about him that we don't agree with many of his views, us, and you know, just in general, but we still have like a love of, he is.
He's a madman. But
he needs help, but we love the art of what he's producing. And then we had Nas, No Phony Love, and that was your choice, Dane.
Yeah. Big Nas fan, first of all, and I feel very.
I want to have his children.
I mean, you know, why not? Everyone has dreams, and you know, if you listen to his music, aspirations.
I can put that in my vision board.
There you go. And then if you listen to his music, he's not necessarily like ruling it out, you know. So he's not making songs about saying my tubes are tired and I'm not having no more kids.
So
you
it's still
can keep
okay, as far as I'm aware.
Listen, like, you know,
as far as I'm aware,
he has a type, and you seem to satisfy him, so I wouldn't worry about it. But I'm just a big fan of Nas, man. I just like the resurgence he's having now. He seems to be having quite an artistic renaissance. Like, you know,
is it Hit Boy?
Yeah, so him and Hit Boy been working together as like an in-house producer, and it's just the synergy is great. Like, it's one of those things where it was kind of like, you know, it was like Dark Child with Brandy and Leah and Timbaland, or like Missy and Timbaland,
John B and Babyface.
Exactly, or with Tony Braxton as well. It's like
my mum.
There you go, and I love seeing artists and people that appreciate one another having that synergy. And like, you know, over the last couple of years, like, you know, Nas and Hit Boy, he's had a Grammy, he's had like, you know, a lot of critical and commercial acclaim as well. So always been one of my favourite rappers, and I think someone that's been in the game that long having this much success is good. And just a nice tune as well. That's a realistic tune. Like, Nas is, I think 49, 48. I don't want to hear someone like that still talking road in it. So
exactly.
The music is maturing as well, so I like that.
I like that you've got a different generation, and we're in the disposable generation, but they know who he is.
Exactly.
Because are we not in a time where artists, no matter what their genre are in terms of music, is like, what's the shelf life? 4 or 5 years?
If that, we're in the era of content now rather than creativity.
TikTok.
Like people aren't waiting for like you imagine being an artist now, like trying to paint a picture now and being like, it's going to be ready in a few weeks. People are like, I don't care. Give me an NFT. Now. I want an NFT now.
And you're like, what's an NFT?
Yeah, but that's
fungible token. Yeah, but what is that?
In a world where like we're definitely focused more on quality over quantity. It's nice to see someone that's taking the time to still make something that's like layered and has depth and has thought behind it. So
it also shows how great the 90s were in terms of hip hop. Like, that's, I think, you know, people say the 80s is the golden era, and I do think there is some truth to that. Though. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But these guys are like true greats where they can still make music in their 50s. I know it's not a lot of them. A lot of people from that era can't do that.
Yeah.
But the Busters, the Jay-Z's, the Nas, and there's a few others I'm not thinking of. But
No, but I mean, just to name a few, because there was a time where you were told, especially as a rapper, like if you hit your 30s, then your career was done.
Yeah.
So
they're in their 50s. How old is Jay-Z now? What, 50?
Jay-Z's going to be pushing maybe just north of his 50s.
53, 52,
yeah, something like that. Yeah, early 50s.
Yeah, and he's still shaping the culture.
This is it, yeah. And you know,
he's still riling people up in like all the comment sections of all the blogs of like, he had Kodak Black. Yeah, like
he's right though.
He's still relevant.
Kodak Black.
No, not
Jay-Z,
Kodak Black.
Jay-Z,
Jay-Z,
definitely. Yeah. Well, even going on to that as well, verses and stuff like that as well. It's nice to see now that, you know, digital media's been out for so long. We're seeing that like older artists have been able to find their little place within there. Like, so obviously, seeing like Jay-Z and having the kind of discussion about it, the whole Dipset and Locks versus that kind of.
We're going to talk a little bit about Dipset later, because there's something.
And it's important and I think it's important for aspiring artists to see that there's still that timelessness, that if you make something that is good and that has depth, and even if it's not the time you're in, when people do arrive with it, if you make something, then they will, it'll resonate and people will realise it. So,
and that you know your worth, especially as a black artist or a person of colour, for want of a better phrase. And then we had Drake, Girls Want Girls.
I like that song, man. I mean, it's not the best Drake song, but I just love
it.
I think it's very catchy. I love the chorus. I just think Drake's in his bag in that tune, you know.
Drake is consistent. That's one thing that you can take away from him.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's not the new rapper. How long has Drake been around now?
Since he's officially debuted.
Is it 15,
in terms
20?
of a mainstream artist, it was like 2008.
So how many years is that now? 15?
14 now.
Yeah, it's 14 years, yeah.
So this is a shaping of the culture. And then we also had Nas Speechless.
Big tune. That was the first song of that new album, and I love it.
Do you know, Speechless gives me like old school Nas.
That's exactly it. That's exactly
and
it.
And just I can just I can
that's
vibe
Illmatic
out.
Nas. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's like just before Illmatic Nas as well. Like he's just he's one of the greats.
He's changed and flowed, but he's been consistent in like providing us with like music, isn't it? And content.
Yeah, man. And it's hard, you know, like as a creative myself, as a musician myself, like it's not easy to always go back in the booth and think of new things to talk about and think of, you know what I mean? And so,
well, that's for both of you, I'm guessing, because you're a writer, presenter, comedian. Ryan, in your spare time, you're a presenter, podcaster, musician as well.
Yeah.
Things are always evolving, things are always changing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like trying to keep up to date now. All you are old.
Yeah, I guess we're old. Yeah, thanks. But but I know what you're saying.
I'm
it's
older than both of you. So it's fine.
But to keep consistent, right? You know, Dane. You know the
definitely.
struggle, like, and also to be happy with your work as well. You might be writing something that loads of people will think is great,
but we're not
if you
our
don't
worst
mess with
critic.
it, we ain't gonna hear it.
Are we not our worst critics?
I think most of the time, your ego is the one that's always gassing you when things are going well, but it's also the person that's the bad man in your ear being like, you don't deserve this anyway, you're rubbish. No wonder they don't like you. So, and I think that's what people's ego they wrestle with all the time, is that when you hear negative reviews and stuff like that, you're kind of like before
I hate them people.
No, but it's not them. It's not them.
No, but I have them that like that.
Yeah, it's not them. It's you because people can say stuff about you, but when your ego comes to you, it's always the fear is, do people believe this? Like people are gonna be like, right. I thought it was good, but according to these reports. You're mixing these much to be desired, good sir, and I shan't indulge you any further. Like you wonder if it's true, innit? So
shade?
No, I'm just saying it for example, not at all.
He's giving
you see, that was me doing my ego on my shoulder.
Because we're just so more subject.
Perfectionists as well.
We're more perfectionists, but now we're so much subject to so many. Like the saying used to be like, too many chefs like spoil the broth or whatever. Yeah, but nowadays everyone's like, I'll add some, and some people are like, I don't like it. You're like, you're not even in the kitchen. I'm entitled to my opinion. So that's the kind of era that we're living in now. People who, like, if you think of music or what we're offering as a buffet of food for thought, there are people that I don't like this particular piece. Stop the whole service. Shut down this restaurant. Health inspector, burn down this street. Like, so.
Saying that though, did you guys see, and it's not even on my plan today, did you see when there was that Nigerian restaurant? It's got nothing to do with them being restaurant, like Nigerian.
Yes, why mention Nigeria? Anyway, keep going.
Because it technically was. It's a factual thing rather than an opinion.
All right,
thing. And they tried to say it was crab meat, but really it was like mouldy chicken, and it was in Walthamstow.
Oh, wow.
That's what
there's a Nigerian restaurant in Walthamstow?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And we're from Walthamstow, the both of us as well, you know that.
Nice. Waltham Forest, where's that?
Wow.
It's not really.
I mean, depends what you define as it. Depends what you define as it, is what I'm saying.
You're not technically wrong.
Where it's at. Whatever it is varies from person to person. Yeah.
Walthamstow's hella gentrified now, boy.
Yeah.
It's mad.
But there's like that juxtaposition, isn't it, between like the haves and the haves not.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, David Schwimmer owns a house in Walthamstow.
Stop it.
This is what I'm saying.
Ross from Friends.
He's not funny. No, that's actually a joke.
I don't think he really. No.
I was just joking.
No, I don't think you're wrong though.
No, it was just a little joke.
Like, you know, Friends.
Just a little joke.
See, someone probably said that to me. He was like, I'll buy something around here. And he was like, you would have just mad out here, bro. Mad on the road. And he was like, I'm going to buy, excuse me, I lived in New York with Friends. And they was like, you wouldn't do that, David. He was like, oh, well, I'm not funny, you know.
Yeah, there you go. I'll buy it.
Call that estate agent now.
Exactly.
Call the estate agent. He was like, I'd like to buy a property. Where are we thinking, David? Notting Hill? And he went, Walthamstow. And he went, and he went, see? Now we go through with that purchase.
Oh, I think that's actually what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And he did.
Because ego in it can affect an artist, boy. People were like, you're not a bad boy, David. You wouldn't do nothing here. He was like, not a bad boy. Did you not see me with Jennifer Aniston for 12 seasons plus?
When she had the haircut as well.
This is what I'm saying to you.
And them two fancied each other, you know.
White people went wild for that haircut.
You know, she looked good though. She looked good back then. You know her uncle's Kojak?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I thought, is
it her uncle or her godfather?
Godfather. It's not uncle, yeah.
I like Kojak. Telly Savalas.
Legend.
Yeah.
Legend. Rest in peace to Sidney Poitier. Can we just say that?
We're going to touch that later. Another Caribbean legend. He's Bahamian. I'll never say that right. Bahamian. All of us sound dotish right now. So he's Bahamian, American, but basically...
Bahamian. Is that what you're talking about?
Bahamas.
Okay.
How do you say the people from there? Bahamas. We sound so dotish.
Well, it varies because someone would say that you'd say someone's a Reuben, right? You wouldn't say they're a Bahamian, would you? Or would
you would say a Reuben.
Or someone's from.
You say Reuben.
You should make that.
I made a joke about the Bahamian.
Let the people speak.
If anyone knows the phonetic pronunciation, please
correct us.
Thank you, Dane.
Because we're not ignorant around here.
Wow.
And if we are, we seek to change it. We seek to change it. You know, we seek to change it. That's all.
I'm comfortable in my ignorance. So, yeah, we're going to touch on a few of those topics a bit later on today. But before we go any further, I think, Ryan, how did you... Well, you're going to be my co-host for
I'm here now. I'm official now. Yeah. This is my debut.
We're going to touch on Dane a bit later on.
It's about Dane. It's not about me.
Obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's just tell people who you are so they get an understanding of the character in my life that is Ryan Skillit Albert, who is one of my best friends in this world.
100%.
You know things about me that you shouldn't actually know.
That's very true. My name is Ryan Skillit, born in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm a Trini boy. Moved
island boy.
But I did move to London when I was 5, so I'm a Londoner.
And which part?
Really.
Sunny Walthamstow?
Yeah. My parents moved from Trinidad straight to Walthamstow.
Which part of Trinity?
So at the time we were living in Mulvan, I believe.
Okay.
My parents will probably listen to this and be like, "You're totally wrong," but that's okay. these things happen. One of like one of 5 actually. Sorry, one of 5 children. I've grown up with brothers.
I love your brothers too.
Yeah, man.
Can we shout them out today as well?
Shout out to Stefan, Christian, K-Night, 13, Andres, and Head Boss. Shout out to my little brother
family.
Head Boss. Doing big things in the music scene.
We're proud of them.
But I just had like a big passion of music. Always kind of been a bit of an entertainer in school, not a class clown, but a bit of an idiot. I would say that. I was a little bit of an idiot in school.
You're very funny, but you would never label yourself as a comedian.
No, I don't. I can't do what Dane does. You see what Dane does? I can't do.
Yeah, Ryan point is so strong. That's pressure, you know.
So sorry, my bro.
Not like Dane's supposed to do.
No, what I'm trying to say, what that man do is a different art form. It's different.
I think I'm good at one-liners. I think I'm funny in my own right, but could I stand on the
comedians.
Stage? I don't have it. I'm scared of rejection. I can't even talk to a man, much as get on the stage.
You can talk to a man, but anyway.
No,
but what
I'm scared.
There's a difference between comedians and just being naturally funny. Like I could be naturally funny, but I couldn't.
Me too. I'm charming as well.
I couldn't light up a whole room.
No, I get mugged off.
I couldn't do that.
I'd look like I've got some kind of problem.
You get what? And it's important people know that.
I mean, that's the distinction I think.
Because there's a craft, isn't it?
The biggest distinction is that being funny or being able to make people laugh is not the same as performing comedy.
Because my mum is funny. Do I want to see that up on stage?
Well, it's
not really.
Yeah, exactly. And not just what she's funny about, but it's not just that. It's like I tested nowadays when people go, I could be a comedian. I say something bad to them about their family, not because I want to hurt them, but I'm like, now after what I've said, could you go on stage and make people laugh? Because sometimes you have to do that. Like before I go on stage, I can if I use the same toilet and I hear people talking in the toilet, I can in my head be like, I don't want to entertain these people. They're horrible people.
Dirty.
But it's my job to do it. So that's one of the big differences is that I can make people laugh, but what I do in terms of performing comedy is very different to making people laugh because I have to do that irrespective of what my mood is or what the situation is because that's what you do to perform comedy.
And it's different, like me and Ryan sitting in like a fair or me and Ryan chilling at our house versus you on the stage at the Apollo.
Well, because I'm trying to mimic what happens in the house in the same way that because you're trying to emulate a conversation. So like I'll be on stage, for example, where if I'm in a smaller room, then my energy would be very different to if I'm performing somewhere like live at the Apollo. Because in the same way that if you're in a small room and there's a small amount of people, you ain't gonna come in and start shouting. You'd be like, everyone will be like, we can hear you. You don't need to shout. Whereas if you need to address people on a larger scale, your energy changes. So you're always the best comedians are always trying to replicate a conversation because what I'm saying is supposed to resonate with people individually, so they feel like they're having an individual, I suppose, recognition of what I'm saying and being like, oh, he's saying what I'm thinking, or I've had that experience too. So it is like a conversation, or even if it's a conversation where it's like I'm addressing you two and you both have the same common experience. We're like, yeah, exactly. That's remember that time. So that's kind of what you're going for anyway. But I guess the main thing about the craft of comedy is that you have to do that, and that requires particular conditions like any kind of chemical reaction or music performance where
they say that the successful person, this is just random, this is like me and my accounting head, spends like 10,000 hours honing their craft. Is it the same for like performing and comedy?
I think so, yeah, because I think most of the questions that people ask when you first start doing comedy, most people think the questions are, how do you know what's going to be funny? What do you do if no one laughs? How would you feel if people booed you? So most of the question and the answer for all of them is always experience. So it's kind of like, what do you do if you're nervous? It's like, well, I still get nervous. It's just that over time with experience, I learned to manage the nerves.
But then you don't. It's not visible. So it's like you have you in itself. You've like found a way to like
to manage it, or you use it as well in the same way that like if you're around people you trust or you're honest about yourself, you're like, I'm moving this way because I'm nervous. In the same way with the audience, they want the same thing, like that transparency. You're like, I might be moving a bit janky because I'm nervous. Because if you imagine, if I didn't tell them that, they don't think I have control. If they see me holding the mic stand and I'm shaking, I'm like think about if I was a pilot, and because I'm basically taking you on a trip to land a plane. If I was like, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my, madness. But I never said to you anything. You was like, why does he sound that way? But if I said to you, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, this is my second flight, I might be nervous for the turbulence. You'd be like, well, at least he's being honest about what's happening. Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
It's just that transparency that people know where you are. So it's
is it like a safeness? Like a safeness that people just feel comfortable with you.
Yeah, because you're going on, because when you go on stage in front of a room of people, they assume you know what you're talking about. That's why you're on stage talking to all of us. Because most of the time when we see public speaking, the person that's giving us address is normally someone that's in a position like a politician, or you listen to a doctor. Like, you know,
CFO.
Yeah, because a CFO.
They're like a position of standing.
They're standing of so you assume exactly they're the leader.
Thing of whatever it is.
They're leading the narrative. Exactly that. So the same thing with comedy is that if you go on stage to publicly speak, people assume he knows what he's talking about, and that means that like if I make an observation about the audience, I better make sure that anything wrong with me, I notice that first.
Right.
Because if I come on stage and I'm like, everybody here looks a bit mad, and then someone's like, yeah, but your shoes ain't the best. And if someone else notices before I do,
start crying.
The whole crowd will turn.
My ego's not able.
But that's what I'm saying. But my ego has to be like, yeah, these shoes are kind of dead still. You got me there. Because if it doesn't, it means that I'm not being honest. And this is what people have come to me for. And that's like, and that trust is, that trust extends where people listen to politicians. And you can see now how that's kind of changed over years, because people have begun to lose confidence in politicians. Now their shift is focused towards people that aren't confined by politics and being honest. So when we see now how politics has changed, what do most people say to justify, like, they'd be like, he don't sound like other politicians. He sounds like someone you can have a drink with. Because that part's been lost. Well, exactly. But people have lost this whole, because people do so much jargon and language that we don't understand. People have lost trust in that.
There's there's homogeneity, whatever the word is, they're all the same. Whereas when we were growing up, you had like a distinction between like, whether it was like a class distinction or they were for the workers, or they made the effort to speak for the people, whereas now they're all kind of like eaten, bred and born.
And professional. They're all professional and politicians.
And then they're not comfortable speaking against the other party, which is what we were all taught they would do.
We're supposed to be watching a bipartisan split where you have left or right and people will give address. Whereas like I said, you've got people that are they're all in the same photo from the Bullingdon Club.
It's awful.
Yeah, and it's mad. So politics is like, it's a job now. And I think there's a lot of people now that's work on securing their jobs. And even now, if you look at like...
It's a stepping stone. The prime ministerial role and those top cabinet roles are a stepping stone to their directorships. And we all should understand that.
Yeah, and most of us should know that to us.
And it's been like this for years. This is not new. This is like Tony Blair and them.
And for years, what we don't understand, a lot of people don't understand, is that politicians, when we talk about the circles in which they are reared and educated, they're the broke ones amongst their friends,
Are they?
Mad. So to them, this is
that
how,
why Boris's hair is like that?
There you go. Well, not just his hair is like that for even more sinister reasons, I think. sinister eugenic reasons that I won't discuss on this station. But I think a lot of people.
What do you mean, Dave?
This is it. Well, I just think. Well, even to us, even the thing is, to us, we're like, he looks mad, but I can assure you, to him, he thinks we're mad.
You're 100%.
He looks at us, we're mad. He's like, look at the dreadlocks. When people are like, but why did you do that? He's like, I'm being questioned by the proletariat, the proles. I don't understand.
Blacks.
Anybody. He's trying to work it out, because
meanwhile, he's got some big dirty patch on his thing. His hair is unsheveled. He's got another woman pregnant.
Yeah, but to him, these are things allegedly.
Allegedly.
They would say allegedly. Give that caveat.
Allegedly.
But I think, but at the same time, these are the guys. They're broke to their friends. To their friends, they're broke. Their friends are like, you're on $100,000 a year. Well, good luck with that, Boris.
Crazy.
Exactly. They're like, well, I hope it's going well with the government paying for your with construction workers paying for your sandwiches. They're laughing in their face. So, like you said, it's a stepping stone where they set themselves up to be lobbied.
You said that so calm.
And that was amazing. Spot on as well. That was a spot on impression.
It's crazy, man. It's just crazy how I mean, I noticed with my own eyes, it's like there's so many institutions that we give power over to without thinking about it, and now you see how they control. Like, how many years?
There's so much fear at the moment. People are asking for the control and asking for that to be taken away and rescinded from them.
Well, this is it, yeah, because and for the sake of security, and it's been built for a very long time.
Security?
Well, yeah, there you go. Because the more you can squeeze people and say to them, this is to keep you safe, because if you look outside of your bubble, this is how people are living.
Yeah.
Like, people are trying to come into your country and they're going to take what little you have. You know, people talk about, like, even if I always say to people, the way to round it is that, you know, instead of us having conversations about, like, who's taking advantage of the NHS, is it going private, which immigrants are coming in, like, how come no one's talking about what should we do to not get sick all the time?
Thank you.
Exactly.
Like, no one really speaks about that.
And are they getting sick? Can somebody just explain basic numbers to me?
What's making us sick? Like, do you think most people would know the average life expectancy of most doctors?
No, they don't, and people aren't asking the questions either.
I remember, and this is the person.
But it's twofold.
That's what I'm saying. This is the person that's to be healthy. This is the person that's supposed to be telling you what to do for you to be healthy.
And what is it?
It's not. It's below the national average.
Is that due to stress? Do they say?
This is what I'm saying to you. So imagine someone who's going to probably die before most people you know, telling you this is what you need to do to be healthy. Like, how many times you go to hospital, you see a nurse or a doctor outside with a cigarette, and they're stressed.
They are stressed, very much.
And you know, it's weird, and people are like, they're not doing enough. It's like, you know,
I hate when I hear that, because last year we were like, whatever your stance is on COVID, Omicron, whatever, we had no clue what was going on. There was no clear guidance, and they were just like, okay, you've got to go in, you've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And you're going to work around the clock.
Here's some bin liners.
Yeah.
And those should work.
You're making me laugh, but it was literally like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But this is the thing. Other thing about comedy as well is that you have to, when you're dealing with these kind of issues, for most people, especially prior to the time now where we're having open conversations about mental health, like, these things mess people's heads, man. They have people on medication. So if you can help people to kind of process it and rationalize it, that's why people say it's the best medicine, because it's the one that can make you feel good.
Yeah.
That you don't need a prescription for.
That's
you don't need
right.
to pay for. There's no prerequisites or underlying health conditions that can stop you from laughing. And the dosage is suitable for all ages and universal.
But you're also provoking thought as well.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes people need that as well, because like I said, for you, one of the things you think is that, if this man dies before me, should I be listening to him? Or if he gives me a prescription, I can go online and be like, what were the medical trials like when people took this? Like, how did they turn out and stuff like that as well?
Were there medical trials?
Because this has only really been happening now since the pandemic. People seem to be scrutinizing the medical profession before. But it's like, before people was putting plastic boobs in their chest, you weren't asking no questions then. Like, before, people are sticking like hair from their back onto their head. You're not asking how that's going to work.
So common now.
You know?
We're going to have to touch on that in a couple of weeks, but that is the norm. They're not even talking about BBLs. They're like saying the new BBLs. I'm just like, can you guys stop doing this? But it is what it is out there.
I mean, this is it. I mean, but people don't question it if it doesn't inconvenience them or it's for their own vanity. A lot of the time, people won't question certain things. And so this is why we talk about the same energy.
Yeah.
Because you need to apply it to everything, whether it's you're making inquiries about your own welfare or the state of the world you live in. And I just think, you know, I
don't think people ask enough questions. I naturally am that kind of person. I'll ask questions, and even if I don't, I'm thinking about like why, what, when. But do you think most people do that?
No, I don't think so. No, not at all. I think a lot of people do what they're told. Or listen, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I mean,
I'm not even saying they're dotish. I think it's quite easy. It's actually quite easy to do.
It's quite easy. You
can do it with an algorithm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
When you and all three of us go on, like, say, whatever blog, we don't even need to name them, but let's just say it was the Shea Borough, for example. We could all see different like things that come up on the top that are kind of geared towards us as well, isn't it? To shape our point of view, and you'll be like, oh, everybody's saying this, so this is like the common populist opinion.
But it's also the normal thing of like, you want to trust what a specialist would say or an expert would say about the field that they work in. No, I'm just saying, but that's
why the reason why they should have the status of specialists is because they have the expertise in this field.
Yeah.
But
that's right.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's not always, the right thing to do.
Yeah, you can't.
But yeah, I think the populism point is right. Like I said, is that we're now in a time now where it's definitely quantity over quality. So the person who's shouting louder and the person that's actually telling the truth or actually stating facts might not in the populist world, the facts may not necessarily prevail. So this, like, I don't know if anyone saw that film, Don't Look Up.
No, that's a new one.
That's with DiCaprio, right?
Yeah, with DiCaprio.
I need to watch that.
Really do check it out. I won't spoil it if people haven't seen it, but I think it's a very good satirical piece, just talking about the fact that people would much rather believe a lie if it makes them feel better than accept an uncomfortable
Do you know
truth.
Charlemagne the God has been saying that for months on the Breakfast Club, because he says it doesn't matter how like it could be blatant that something has been proven to be wrong. If that's like the popular thing and people just, it's funny or that's the popular opinion, people will just go for it.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Or if it makes them feel better, because
it makes them
feel better.
We live in a time where people can be like, well, it's fake news as far as I'm concerned, because I don't agree with it, so it must be fake news.
But we got the evidence here. Oh, it's still fake.
There's all these words nowadays where like I'm very aware if people like these buzzwords. I'm entitled to my own opinion, which normally means that someone's
sounds like me.
Yeah, normally it's giving you an opinion, but the thing is, but normally when someone says that,
I think I wrote that today.
I think Dane is rinsing you right now.
I think you are.
No, well, I mean, most people.
Actually, did you see what I wrote on like one? Is that what you're trying it today?
No, but you said
Don't
you
let me kick out you at the studio. You know,
I'll
embarrass you in front of people.
I'm entitled to my own opinion too. Yes, it's democracy in it, but I just think people. It is democracy in terms of digital and social media. It is democratic because everyone can say a word, but you have to understand that I don't think most people in society have always volunteered their opinion in other arenas, because everyone says I'm entitled to my opinion, but not everybody votes. People say I'm entitled to my opinion. Not everyone contributes to a referendum or contributes to something that affects their lives. Not everyone pays taxes, but yet we all feel we can volunteer. So,
and as base as it is, social media persona versus real life persona, people give it all this and all that on social media about the lifestyle they want you to perceive that they're having. You meet them in real life and they're just not that. Whereas I'm kind of probably the opposite. I'll show you bits of me, but I'm probably a bit more if you meet me in real life.
Yeah, but the thing about that is that might just be your normal conduct, because you're like, this is just an account that I use kind of business, kind of for profiling.
It's not real.
Yeah, but some people make a profile just to tell you something about yourself.
Yeah,
and then disappear.
It's
and
strange.
So you can't really, and that's something I had to learn very recently. You can't engage with a person on social media because you're not engaging with a person necessarily.
No.
You have no idea. You can see a picture of a woman cussing you for something. You don't know if that's a woman at the other end of that phone.
Exactly. No.
And so there's not a real basis for you to have a dialogue anyway. So you just have to learn that really that. And that's the thing. It's just, this is not like human discourse that we're seeing. This is like human consciousness in some way being sensationalized, trying to coexist with an algorithm and artificial intelligence. And it's like, it's mad. What we tell a computer that we've never met or an artificial intelligence, we'll tell them anything.
And likes.
People tell their computers.
Get likes. When you write in that comment, you just, I want to get the most likes. Even I can be guilty of that. I'll be like, I know if I say this, no, I'm really sarcastic.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, okay, maybe people think that's funny.
But it's cool, but it depends, because that's fine, because that could also happen in conversation anyway. You can be at a water cooler at work,
like that. Yeah, no,
have
I'm
a
the worst.
quick, and everyone just starts laughing.
I've got no filter.
And it's not a bad thing, because people laugh. That's a natural thing. What's happened with social media is that it's now created a state where you now get a biological reward for it. Like you get a dopamine or serotonin release when you get your likes. So that means now you are addicted to this action of I do this now because it's going to make me feel a certain way. And that's where the addiction comes from. And then that culture's been kind of nurtured for so long now that we always like got so used to it. They took the like button and they moved it, and it was like, put a little shopping bag there now. So now you look, which means now as people, you spiritually, you look harder for the likes, but while you're doing it, you're seeing all the stuff that's making you feel you're not good enough or you're not adequate enough. And so the first thing you think is, well, if I buy this, then I can be like this other aspirational person and look better. So that's how you have the whole phenomenon now, where it's like an influencer and they look impossibly good looking. People feel a way about themselves. It's like, well, to get to look like me, you go into this website or this like fast fashion website, this mail order website, buy the thing I'm buying. Buy the thing I'm buying. Fashion Nova. There you go. I know if I was about to name any names, but you buy the thing and you can live like me. And that's so it's just TV. Social media is TV on steroids. The only difference is before people used to be able to shout at their TV, and we'd all look at people that shout at their TV like, that person's weird. Yeah. Whereas now, because you can hear what they're saying and it looks like we could give it credence because it comes from an account, you take it more seriously than you used to. In the same way that, like, if you said something in the toilet and you looked on the toilet and you saw what people wrote in toilets, people will write stuff like, yeah, for a good time, call Tracy, or Paul's gay. And you know what I mean? You get all these mad things in the toilet door. But before, you'd look and go, oh, well.
That's weird.
Who's got time to sit in the toilet and write this down in the toilet?
I remember those things written on the wall.
Yeah, on the school desk. You know, on the school desk, you look on the school desk when you was bored in an exam and you'd be like, who writes this stuff? I ain't got time to do this. Social media are those people, but the thing is,
they're now on Facebook talking about
there you
COVID.
go. Before, you would dismiss them as like, this person obviously did not pass this exam, boy, because the anger here is evident.
Yeah.
But now you live in a time where those same people now can create an account online and force their way into a conversation and be like, yeah, well, I think this and blah, blah.
Yeah,
and again, You wouldn't give that person the time of day.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I think because I am of an older generation, I do still have that a bit in me where I'm just like, I don't take it that seriously. And I think a lot of people do take it quite seriously. And I think it's not an age thing, because we've got people that are like 18 and people that are like 57 and 60 who all kind of take this as like their real life, and you're like, you've never interacted with any of these people in your whole life,
and they think they know.
Never will.
You might follow someone who might make you laugh or might tweet, post things
like us, because we're hilarious.
Well, Dane.
Yeah.
But
Ryan, we're all hilarious.
Well,
Mr. Skillit, we've all got our skills here. Listen,
I love, bro. But what I was gonna say is, like, we do follow some people. Not we, but some people follow people like religiously. They don't know anything about these people in person, but they might think they know them because of the stuff they post, right? So they think, but these people might be real evil people behind the scenes. You know.
But then that's where you get the likes of like and I'm gonna name names here, Derek Jackson. And you get like other names as well, where they perpetuate an idea of what their brand is, and you're following them. Meanwhile, he's doing none of what he's telling you, because you followed this ideal and this persona.
And there's a lot of people that are like that are gonna have a rough time. But again, that happened for many years, where people would sell fitness DVDs. Like, people would come out of like the Big Brother house, something like that. They come out with a fitness DVD. They put on the same type bikini, orange bikini. Yeah. And you see the girl running on the beach, and everyone's like, ugh. And then she's like, I'm gonna do a DVD.
All got like a BBL, and all of a sudden she had no back, and now she's got like a big back.
But for someone, if you're someone of a more modest extraction in life, and you see someone from a similar background to you, someone of a similar background living an aspirational life, you're like, well, I can do that too. Yeah. I can do that too. And that's what people, or if they can't do it, people can live vicariously through somebody they see doing it. Yeah. So it's like, before, like, if someone was like, came and told you every time about their favorite artist, and they was like, oh my God, you know what, Lady Gaga's amazing, you'd be like, you can't come and just tell me this all day. But then online you get people that make fan pages and stuff, so their page is not a reflection of their own personality or their own output. It's just really just reinforcing this other person. And as I said, you do not know who's on the other side of these things. Like, I'm telling you for a fact, I have my tinfoil hat on, I reckon in developing countries or parts of Southeast Asia, you just got people in offices just clicking likes. But
they are, because then that's how you get
clicking likes, doing streams, just affecting numbers and output for artists or for business interests.
No, you're absolutely right.
But then that's how you get those people that are kind of like what's the right word? Kind of hoodwinking those old ladies into relationships that are they're not real.
But they've always been there. Like, before people did that online, people did that on email. Like, there's people used to do it on email all the time, and to most of us, you're like, well, I wouldn't respond to that. But to somebody who's home, who's shut in, and between doing that, they just play online poker, and between doing that, they like. Trust me, there are people who believe, all I need to do to get women is have a big penis, and they don't understand.
That's not true.
No, I mean it helps, but I can't walk into a bar and throw my things on a table, innit, and just start like, ladies move, and
then they all line up.
Yeah, you know what I mean. They line up. Yeah.
Dane.
I think even there's got to be like a threshold at some point, but some people believe that. Like, they don't understand. Like, you can't just two women can't be sitting in the car. You throw your things in the window and be like, by the way, ladies, like, extra seatbelt. You can't. That's not how it works. So. But there's some people that believe that, and so there's always going to be a market for that type of thing. But I just think that market's now migrated online. I can relate. This is it. But now people are online. Online doesn't have. It's the Wild West, isn't it? Like, when you do something stupid on TV, you have to say, don't try this at home, because if someone does what you said to them to do, they can get sued. The internet is still the Wild West. The regulation isn't still there, where you can say you're a woman that's a size 0 and you have G cup breasts, and it's like, your back will break for most women. It's not, but not everyone can do that. No. So, it's the Wild West, innit? And I think not everyone's like you, Emz, is the point. iLiveUK. Change it.
up on you. I'm ready to do what I do. Baby, what you wanna do? Shoot your shot, cause I'm bulletproof. Load it up and do. Baby, what you wanna do? I'm ready to pull up on you. I'm ready to do what I do. This type have you wildin'. Last minute trips to the islands. Drip, drip, drip when you're sliding. Dip, 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 baby, ride it. Don't hesitate when you in it, cause you know I like it. Baking up a cake for you. Sweet baby, like it when you bite it. We can't just keep talking about it. We think too
play, baby, I saw that something in your eyes. Comes to no surprise that you turn me oh so giddy. What's up, people? This is Omar, and you're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
Are you looking for that feel-good music? The kind of music that makes you want to share with your friends? Then you've been looking for iLive Radio, your #1 source for music lovers worldwide, playing a variety of hits from soul, reggae, gospel, jazz, hip-hop, funk, and everything in between. Download the iLive Radio app now and listen to us when you're on the go. Available on iTunes and the Google Play Store. You can also listen live on TuneIn and Alexa. iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
The Soulfest Lounge returns this new year, Wednesday the 19th of January 2022, with host Julie Payne and the Soulfest Lounge UK band at the Night Owl, 5 Station Place, Finsbury Park, London N4 6DJ. Music supplied by our resident DJ Jukes. Book your open mic slot today for the Soulfest Lounge. Send an email to soulfestloungeuk@iLiveUK.com. Follow us on Instagram, Soulfest Lounge UK. See you there.
Taxman here. I invite you to join me each and every Thursday right here on iLive Radio, where we give you the very best in independent and neo-soul flavors. We also feature the UK Top 20 Independent Soul Chart, counting you down from number 20 all the way down to number 1. Why not check us out every Thursday right here on iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to music.
Join me, Dominican Emz, each and every Saturday for the Dominican Emz Show, 2 to 4 p.m. right here on iLiveUK. Playing a variety of music with a heavy dose of Caribbean music, international news, hot topics, interviews and lively debates. So make sure you listen to the Dominican Emz Show on iLiveUK, changing the way you listen to radio.
What's up, London? This is the Lady's Choice. Mix Master Caesar coming to you straight from the 6 with the Red Platinum Mix Show every Saturday, 10 p.m. until midnight. Spinning the best music in hip-hop, R&B, soca, reggae, and top 40 exclusively on iLive Radio. Changing the way you listen to radio.
Hi, this is Miss Law. Tune in to Talks Honest every Sunday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on iLiveUK, discussing topics often thought of but never spoken. That's Sundays, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on iLiveUK.
The Spice of Life with the Baroness, each and every Sunday from 5 to 7 on iLiveUK.
iLiveUK want to hear from you. You can get in touch by calling us on 0208 638 8503, or you can send a WhatsApp message, text only, to 07564 265 257. You can watch us live on Twitch and Mixcloud, and whenever you miss a show, you can listen back via our podcast page at iLiveUK.com. Don't forget to download our iLive Radio Network app from the Google Store and take us on the road with you. It's iLiveUK across all platforms, changing the way you listen to radio.
Music back to back on iLive Radio.
Audience come, let's come the thing like
Play the quad from you just like a shock. Hold the lady wrong and waist and just roll back. Play the tambal on your knee just like marble. When the music hit you, man, just a go one. Give me a little melody and the pion pion. Everybody calling it the accordion. Now give me the bouyon. Bouyon music control the greatest dance. Watch them got us balance in the short line. See our next one boxing back in his skirt. And then man I'm watching the white eye.
You're listening to iLive Radio.
Oh, yeah. That's like a sauce, man.
Let's go big tune.
That thing looking move it, show bet. Turn around. Girl, when you move it, stick your move it, juke your move it, drop your move it, now roll your move it, clap your move it, tick tock your move it,
let go big tune.
Girl, when you move it, stick your move it, juke your move it, drop your move it, now roll your move it, clap your move it, tick tock your move it, shake up your move it. No girl can never diss you. That's one thing your mother give you. The people man cannot leave you, cause it tight, fat and sweet too. Matela pi super melee, cause you know your money done pay. Pat your thing and call your man Ray, if you know you from Ansari. When you move it, stick your move it, juke your move it, drop your move it, now roll your move it, clap your move it, tick tock your move it, shake up your move it, girl when you move it, stick your move it, juke your move it, drop your move it, now roll your move it, clap your move it, tick tock your move it, shake up your move it. Anytime you whine, 10 out of 10. Show them you better than 10 army men. Make both punch fight, why you one can. Show them you better than 10 army men. Anytime you whine, 10 out of 10. Show them you better than 10 army men. Make both punch fight, why you one can. Show them you better than 10 army men. Let me touch your move it, let me see your move it, let me hug, kiss, touch, squeeze and lick your move it. No girl can never diss you. That's one thing your mother give you. The people man.
Bien, fais-nous là, depuis croisé, en allez, si bagaille croisé, pas qu'à bien monter, ou ni pour forcer, bah ça danger, ouais, si bagaille croisé, pas qu'à bien monter, ou ni pour forcer, bah ça danger, ouais, comme ça, là ni fait bois d'aine, là ni l'orangette, là ni bois bandé, là ni calcola, là ni pincawette, t'es moun gojette, ça qu'a levé un swell, pas faire qu'on deck. Si bagaille croisé, pas qu'à bien monter, ou ni pour forcer, bah ça danger, ouais. Si bagaille croisé, pas qu'à bien monter, ou ni pour forcer, bah ça danger, ouais. Tout jeune homme, tout bon homme, ouvre les femmes, tout baby ling bang. Tout jeune homme, tout bon homme, ouvre les femmes, tout baby ling bang. Si bagaille croisé, pas qu'à bien monter, ou ni pour forcer, bah ça danger, ouais. Si bagaille croisé, pas qu'à bien monter, ou ni pour forcer, bah ça danger, ouais. Là ni fait bois d'aine, là ni l'orangette, là ni bois bandé, là ni calcola, là ni pincawette, t'es moun gojette, ça qu'a levé un swell, pas faire qu'on deck.
Hello.
Hey.
We are back. Hello, everybody. So just before the hour, we played a few songs for you.
Mm-hmm.
What were they?
I don't know. I heard some really good soca, calypso style songs. I'm not up to date with the soca.
We had Wild Side by Normani as well.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
We did. Thank you for paying attention there.
Right.
So we actually...
Thanks.
Sorry, I just snorted like a pig. So before I snorted like a pig, the song that I played just before the hour was Money Long, MUNI Long. I'm obsessed with this song, guys. So this song has gone viral on TikTok. Every day we're just seeing the streams go up on her tune, and it's called Hours and Hours. And it's that kind of love that everybody wants when they're not horning and cheating on their partner.
Okay.
It's really cute. It's really, really nice. And then we had Dane's pick, which was Normani featuring Cardi B with Wild Side.
Yeah.
Why did you pick that one, Dane?
I'm a R&B head at heart, you know.
So it's not because she's really hot.
That helps.
Okay.
But big her up for that as well. But I'm at an age now where I can't just be flinging out any adulations towards
because you look like, you know, them guys from Jodeci.
Yeah.
Like decrepit, like tales from the crypt.
I'm not decrepit, but I'm at that age now where I can't just be...
I'm older than you, but you know what I mean? When the girl's like 12.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. Like... I got like a godson that's in college now. He's like a freshman in college in the States, so I can't just be when 21-year-old girls and that come like, yeah, she's alright.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's not. I don't want to be that. I never want.
21.
I don't know how old she is, but I don't want to be that uncle though. But she's a very beautiful young girl, and I wish her all the best success. Yeah, she's doing great, and I'm here for. She's a very beautiful young woman. You can't call them a child either, because that's insulting and patronising as well. So I don't know what she's seen.
She's a young woman. You know
what I mean? But she's a young woman the same way. Like
I love her. She's
Summer
so
Walker's a young woman. You know. So, but for me, it's like I'm an R&B fan at heart, and I like to see that it's making a nice resurgence and stuff like that as well. Like there was a nice little window a couple of years back with like Bryson Tiller and the Trap Soul and stuff as well. But I think that it's I think the genre's kind of coming back and
is he Canadian?
Healthy. No, Bryson's from I want to say Kentucky, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got my heart though. Everything he touches is like gold.
What is it? Well, you know, I think they say
it resonates.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. And I love the fact that he's combining like old samples and stuff from 90s R&B.
And he sings about love and not just like the kind of throwaway just sex or sexual, because that's a part of love, but it's not the only thing that I think that was a problem
with the R&B. Like I'd say even as recently, maybe let's say like 10 years ago, I think the problem with the R&B was that there was a lot of R&B that was trying to use hip hop lyrics, and I can understand why, because obviously hip hop is more dominant sound in the
hip-hop
community.
R&B is a thing,
but hip hop R&B is a thing now, where I think it's now making a healthy transition. That I see that a lot of new acts coming out, like, but it's just healthy, and I think there's a lot of people that are my age are kind of like, there's no good R&B in it anymore. I think if you actively look for it, there are people making an effort. There's great music.
What do you guys think when you hear that? Because sometimes when I hear that, I think it's not necessarily that it's not good. It's that you're not familiar with it, and that's the scenario. Like I don't know Afro beats, but I can't tell you Afro beats is bad just because I'm not familiar with it.
Exactly.
That's not how it works.
I mean, I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, yes, I think there is. I think there is that. I think there's definitely like a scene of things where I can't get into because I'm not in that scene. Or
It's
I don't
not my
get it.
scene.
It's not for me,
yeah.
and it's not necessarily bad. But
Agreed.
there is still bad music out there.
Oh no, there is.
Yeah.
We grew up with Chaz and Dave, and people loved that.
See, that's such a good point you make, you know. I don't think people understand the state of music for black artists, and even for black audiences, like in this country before digital media, like how hard it was. Like, unless you was around or knew a good DJ or a good pirate or a good station who was digging in the crates or making the trips to get good vinyl and rare grooves and music and stuff like that, it was tough. Or unless you was lucky that somebody actually made the effort to play B-sides if you went to raves and stuff like that, you were already getting a lot of good music. Like, even people forget, like 20 years ago, they was calling black music urban in this country.
Yeah, they're still doing that now.
Well, but you can't get away with it as much as you used to before. But before, there was all urban, and it was basically this homogenized thing where they was putting all the music together. Black. Yeah, and it was just like
K-pop.
Like packing sausage meat, basically.
I hate K-pop.
But I mean, even you know what? K-pop is actually a really good point you both make here, because one of the justifications for why our music was marginalized is because people thought they couldn't understand it. But everyone's jumping up and down to music from a language they don't even understand.
100%.
That's the thing people have to forget. Like people like like if you black music or music that comes from a more black working class background, people don't really understand it, or it's not our reality. But you will listen to a man from Gangnam Style, and that will go to number one and do 1 billion views. And you know what's even funnier? When they found out what he was saying, what he was actually saying
What was he actually saying?
well, in the song is about a hood in South Korea. So
Really?
Gangnam is like an impoverished part of South Korea. So he's talking about the style that people have in the hood and the swag you carry from that area. But then the guy, the same artist, Sai, he went on to talk about he was an anti-imperialist. He spoke down on like America's foreign policy and stuff. That's why you don't really hear about him anymore. Because when people are like, we love your song, but what do you really think? Turns out he's an artist that has, you know, a core and actually has beliefs about certain things.
I respect that though.
Yeah.
That gives me colour, that gives me flavour rather than just the bland what
like
they
most
were
artists,
packaging him as.
And I think it was, and see, it's funny how before you could argue that he was one of the people that introduced us to popular music from Korea.
Yeah.
But because his message wasn't in line with what people wanted.
Because we didn't know what he was saying.
And then when we found out what he was actually saying in terms of what his disposition was as an artist, then everyone was like, nah, we don't need to hear that. Whereas now with K-pop, they have this whole regimented industry where K-pop artists, they go to like camps, you know?
Yeah, I know.
And they are trained.
Yeah.
They're trained.
I don't know.
So now you've got these quintets that are like, again.
What's that main one that's like the biggest one?
BTS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Megan Thee Stallion did the massive tune with them that was kind of dry. I'm not gonna lie, and I really like her.
Yeah, but I don't think it was for us. You know, it doesn't mean there's a market out there.
I'm a fan of her.
Yeah, I love Megan Thee
this?
Stallion, but there's a market
I've
for
seen her
that.
live, you know.
I saw her at Wireless. She's amazing.
I saw her when she was like, they're just introducing her to the UK. So there was like a place in West London somewhere, and it wasn't a big venue, but there was just something about her. She had star quality.
Can I say something which might be controversial, but
Go on,
will be
say
free
it.
of profanity? One of the reasons I like Megan Thee Stallion is that she's now a successful and Grammy-nominated artist that lost both of her parents at a very young age.
Yeah.
But she never went on the radio and said that slavery was a choice.
No, she didn't.
So, you
And
know.
she's still pursuing her career.
And she's still pursuing her career.
No, she's part Caribbean as well.
Wouldn't surprise me.
She's part Haitian.
There you go. Wouldn't surprise me. Has a healthy relationship as well with Partisan Fontaine as well.
Yes.
And she just graduated recently.
I love
and so
that about her.
It means that she's carrying all of that and we're still able to prosper. So sometimes I feel like there are other artists who use their mental health or loss of their parents as an excuse to say wild stupidness, which has no basis.
Yeah.
So that's why I like.
Like who, Dane?
Huh?
Like who?
I mean, I'll leave it open to interpretation, innit? What people feel. So
West.
There you go. So that's all I'm saying. That like,
and really when she got shot in her foot, she spoke out as well.
She did.
Yeah, she did. Yeah,
that must have been so difficult because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't in that
100%.
scenario.
Even when remember that,
and it actually would have impacted her career. Let's be honest.
I love the hypocritical nature of us men who hated the song WAP when I know they were properly banging out Ghostface Killer Strawberry.
What is the song? What is the song with Nate Dogg? They ain't no.
Ain't no fun if the Lord don't get none.
Ain't no fun. And then also
8 million times worse.
There's so.
But I enjoy it.
Anyone that's listened to the 2 Live Crew.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, you can't say anything about WAP.
So
like, that's basically that song. They underscored that whole song as well. Like, yeah, Miso. That's an easygoing song, by the way, because they got a song called "Hey, We Want a Casual Term for a Cat." So that's what the song's called. So you know, I think, especially with the kind of sound that Megan and Cardi B's obviously been a trailblazer for it, and Megan's kind of carrying that torch. Is that like for a long time our sound has been very much based within strip clubs. And there's a reason for that. Like I was listening to Salam Remy, the producer, and he was basically saying,
I love
with
him.
the end of like shows like 106 and Park,
so many genres,
like it's so talented, and it's like with the decline of like songs like shows like 106 and Park or Soul Train, it meant that there's no longer like video chart shows or shows for like black artists to showcase themselves. They all closed down, so it meant that strip clubs where people had to go to break new artists, which meant that the sound had to orientate itself around songs, because the more your song sounds, better sounds for strippers to dance to, they're going to request it more often, which is why the song started, R&B started talking about strippers all the time, and everyone's talking about she going up and down that pole, because that's what they're trying to sell it to.
Is that why we would have got like the Yin Yang Twins and that?
Precisely, that whole era, because
3-6 Mafia,
that whole era.
I love 3-6.
But it's also to the south as well, where strip clubs are like in an industry anyway,
exactly.
Particularly Atlanta and stuff as well.
Exactly.
But then what's happened now is that the narrative used to be just be men talking about I make it rain, but now you're hearing it from the other side.
But I don't understand why that's a problem, because we've always spoken like that.
Yeah, sexism. Yeah, that's why.
As simple as that.
Because men don't like the idea.
Accept it.
Yeah.
But it's like I see it, I feel it, but I don't accept it. I don't think like when Ryan and I are having a conversation, because this is one of my best friends. I'm not like, oh, I'm a woman, I shouldn't really say that to him. I can't tell my brothers because that's a different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's different.
But this is my friend, so we talk on a level, and we're probably saying similar things.
Yeah, 100.
Sorry, people out there, we probably talked about you. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what I'm talking about now, joking. You know who you are. I'm joking, go ahead.
And that's your prerogative, whoever you are.
No, I'm just joking.
But you might you accept it. But it's that I think a lot of men have been able to have the privilege of being able to detach themselves. Where objectification in it, you can look at you because for many years the women that looks like Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion were in the background just shaking their bottom in it, and you didn't have to hear a narrative from them to be used. Yeah.
To be heard.
Now those women are now taking control of that narrative and talking about the fact that I took his money, but I don't actually like him. Men are like clutching their equivalent of pearls, being like, "Well, I thought that I was the man for all the money and champagne I bought," and so they're not really. So a lot of men are not comfortable with women being able to have a counter narrative because a lot of the time when it comes to issues like the paradigm of sexual power, men are held that a lot of the time.
Do you not want your woman to enjoy what's happening? Is she just meant to be there, or is she meant to enjoy
that's the thing.
It?
The way people are educated culturally and socially is that because sex is a taboo, they feel like it's something they have to trick somebody out of.
Yeah.
Rather than meet somebody willingly and then have the congress. It's kind of like which is why when people something goes awry, they're like, yeah, but I still got you though. You get me? I still had my fun.
I hate that talk.
And you think it's like you're talking about something you did with a part of your own body.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be still got to take a doo-doo in the toilet if I had a bad time at a hotel. My doo-doo's still in your toilet. I wouldn't really be that proud of my bodily functions like that as well, innit? So, or if you went to a bad restaurant, you're not gonna be like, still finish the food though. If it's not good, you wouldn't want to put it in your mouth, innit? Yeah. So the same should apply to a body. If you're talking badly on somebody, that's still the reflection of your choice. It's still a reflection of your choices. But that's the thing is that sex is still something that's sold to us rather than something that was made to understand. So. Yeah,
but it's meant to be enjoyed by some and had by others, and that's the distinction with the sexism that we have now. Still,
very good way of
putting it. Well done, Emma. That was really good.
Thank you. Not just a pair of headphones
and hemispheres in the brain.
Exactly. So after those songs, we also played from Dominica. Every week I'm going to play a Dominican tune because this is Dominican Emz. As you can see behind Dane, we're representing Dominica 767, the land of the bouyon, 365 rivers, and where my family come from. So yeah, with all of that said, WCK bouyon. Then we had from St. Lucia, Freezy with Wange. I can't pronounce that. Wange. It means fix it, basically.
Right.
Don't just nod at me.
Okay.
And then we've got Moveta by Zoom Boy, and then we went back to Dominica with Triple K. So guys, can I just touch on some news quickly before we sit down and talk with you, Dane, because I'm conscious of the time. It's already 4:23. Can we just touch on some of the news this week? Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to whiz through. So in UK news, there was more than 1 million people who have signed a petition calling for Tony Blair to have his knighthood removed. So yeah, you guys hear about that one?
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Thoughts?
Dane, I'll let you take this off, Dane.
I think a lot of people, based on Tony Blair's actions during the Afghanistan and Iraq conflict, have good reason to maybe be complaining about him being awarded for his actions. I don't really subscribe to the idea of peerage necessarily anyway.
Me neither.
But at the same time, I think before we do that, I think we should be very transparent about his contribution to a lot of the crimes and atrocities that happened there. If anything else, for people that may be, in support of the war, the cost.
For somebody, and I'm going to be quite open here, and like I always say to people, I'm very private, but in terms of who I vote for, who my family's voted for, we've always traditionally been Labour. Mm-hmm. And Tony Blair was kind of the start of that era where it shifted from being about the people. And well, my perception anyway, because I grew up in I'm going to show my age here, the era of the Neil Kinnocks and the unions and so on. And then you got the more kind of Eton, public school boy,
purple Labour,
PR.
Kind of that purple Labour, isn't it?
Yeah, I've not heard that expression before. I'm guessing it's a common one. I've not heard that before.
Well, or just the whole neoliberalism and deregulation and stuff. It was a real move away, but
it's a means to an end rather than for the people. Not to say the others weren't, but it was more evident.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't represent who Labour
No,
was
he
supposed to represent.
can jog on.
He can jog on.
And then we also we had in UK news, Time Out magazine reported in the last few weeks that Notting Hill Carnival will be back in 2022. Guys, fingers and toes crossed. I know you Trinidadians have long toes.
Everything crossed. let's all make our prayers and thoughts towards having a carnival in all major metropolitan cities in the UK.
Yeah.
Let's make that happen.
I just miss whining on a woman, man.
Yeah. You
Consensually.
can't do that in a fit.
Consensually, of course.
Yeah, which is the best way to whine.
That's the best way. You can't just grab a woman.
Some say red, some say white, but Skillit and I say consensual wines. That's what we're in.
I like a consensual wine.
I would say I'm somewhat of a consensual wine sommelier. I'm like, this one's got a rich body.
He killed himself there. He broke himself there. You're definitely right though, brother. Consensual all the way.
It was my favourite type of wine.
And then in international news, sorry to be like the bearer of like, a negative story, but it is what it is in real life. Ahmaud Arbery was murdered in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And following the convictions of his murderers in November, the 3 people that were accused of his murder each received life sentences of varying types. So that was news that came out on Friday this week. So it's
bittersweet.
It's bittersweet because he's not here.
He's
when
not
you
here.
think about what he had to go through.
He died for no reason.
Yeah, it's a lynching, essentially.
I'm glad that in recent times we've seen a lot of justice being served in terms of people who do a lot of nonsense. Obviously, there's still a long way to go. There's so many different crimes that has taken place that's unjustly just been rubbed under the carpet or people just gotten away with, and that's still going to happen until this day. That's
sad
still
truth.
happening.
There's a million Ahmauds. Well, not a million.
That's
1 in many.
Yeah, 100%.
But rest his soul.
I do work at the Black Cultural Archives, and I see the performative.
Black Cultural
since George
is in
Floyd,
Brixton.
Yes, in Brixton, we celebrate Black history, we celebrate Black British history,
Amazing.
and we archive and document all types of stories, all kinds of people, everything. We just, so if you want to come down and get some knowledge, come
I
visit.
really do actually.
I've
been for ages.
Come visit.
For ages. I definitely.
And we should do something with you as
well. I would listen.
Yeah, we should collaborate, bro.
I'm on that definitely for sure.
I love that.
But yeah, rest in peace to Ahmaud Arbery. That was very sad.
And because I'm just new to this and I'm probably not the best at segueing, we're going to go to, in other international news, Jim Jones lipped up his mum this week. Is the news?
No, he didn't lift up his mum this week. Don't do that to Jim Jones. Don't do that to Jim Jones. Don't spread fake news. Don't spread fake news. We're not doing that. What happened was...
I thought you were going to bring the tone down.
You know what I'm saying?
Not being the bringer of bad news.
Don't give the misinformation. You can't have Jim Jones shuffling in the studio.
I'm actually a massive fan of Jim Jones.
What he said was they asked Jim Jones about how did you learn. Who was your first? How did you learn how to kiss? Angeli, How did you learn how to kiss? And he said his mom taught him how to tongue kiss.
I see.
And his mom taught him actually by lipsing him.
So,
and then he tried
basically I'm wrong, but I'm not wrong.
No, but you said the other day or something.
He
It's like
he lips his mum.
when he was young, not like the other day.
I mean, in this case, Skillit, I'm on M's side. There's not really a statute of limitations to tongue kiss your mum.
No, I'm not backing it either.
My mum, bro.
I'm with you. But the funny thing was that he was like very proud when he said it. It was like he was very like.
He thought it was funny.
People like. No, but people like. Did you not find out where? He said, "No, it's my mum, man. My mum taught me."
She was 17.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he did seem a bit proud. But then he tried to come on and say he was joking. But apparently his mum did an Instagram live to say
she contradicted
no, it actually happened.
Yeah. So basically, in news, he lips up his mum.
Yeah.
But he's an amazing artist and music producer.
He's a good artist. Yeah, he's a good artist.
He's a half a Reuben, I think, about Armenian.
He is. He's a Caribbean as well.
Yeah. Amazing is a strong word. He's a good artist.
I really like Jim Jones. I think because I like to hear him speak. I find him really interesting. And I think on the business side, maybe that's where I probably... And plus, I still like balling. I've probably got an unnecessary like of that. So.
Rest in peace to Fred the Godson for those hip hop heads. They'll understand why I say that.
Yeah.
He wrote a lot of his lyrics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool, though.
Yeah, 100.
And Max B, too.
Big up to Max Biggervale.
When's he coming out?
I don't know.
I've heard good news though, like regarding his previous sentence, so he might be doing a little bit better regarding that. But then
Who mentioned him the other day?
He did a song with Giggs, didn't he?
No, but somebody mentioned Max B the other day, and it just caused a whole heap of controversy. I think it was Jada Kiss.
But that was at the Verses, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was just taking a mix. That's when it was.
Yeah.
And then in other Caribbean news, or going on to Caribbean news, Bahamian, we're just gonna. American actor and Bahamian actor, film director, activist and ambassador Sidney Poitier passed away.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, at the age of 94. That's somebody that's like, he's inspired us, our parents, everybody. He's from the Caribbean.
He's Mount Rushmore for like black excellence, particularly in Hollywood and film and TV. Like,
he opened the doors, man.
Definitely.
He opened the gates.
Sidney Poitier is up there, like, alongside, I would say, like, you know, the James Baldwins and the Harry Belafontes and the
100%.
Cicely Tyson's, like, they're
we
like,
felt him.
Yeah, they're the totem of like black creativity, or like the success of black creativity. Like, yeah, as Skillit
in
skills
front and behind the camera.
Open the door. Like they
door
they built the door. You couldn't even argue they built the door. That man, they built the door.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's so sad, but 94 years is a good age.
Yeah, I mean, rest well, man. You know, he definitely
he
good
was
hustle.
just like, you're never going to tell him he can't do.
Mm-hmm.
He just was like, well, this is who I am, and this is my people, and we are going to do better if you try.
First ever African American Oscar winner as well.
Yeah, and Bahamian as well.
Yeah. So
sorry.
As well, he's both because he's both.
Well, he's both.
Born.
Yeah,
he's technically born in America, and then his family is.
It's really mad that there's this new distinction or on identity between African Americans and Caribbean Americans, because I don't think. Growing up, we never used to make the distinction, because there is now this political identity of the African descendants of slavery who appear to be opposed to Caribbean American immigrants, which for me is a madness. It's so mad because, to be honest with you, not as mad. It don't work. You can't have the distinction, because Marcus Garvey was Jamaican,
yes,
and Malcolm X is from Grenada,
correct,
and Stokely Carmichael's from Trinidad.
Yes,
so
exactly.
you can't have this, like Sidney Poitier is from the Bahamas, so it doesn't work at all. You can't have this distinction where all.
I just recognise the Caribbean in us because I just like to celebrate.
We should celebrate.
But I agree with what you said, because I've had this same conversation with somebody, and they're like, Emma, why are you mentioning that they're Trinidadian? It's like, I don't mean it in a divisive way. I mean it like, we're literally just separated by water, but we want the same things.
And we are the same. We are the same. We are the same. Yeah.
And when you look at like the Creole story as well, some of the transition between like Louisiana and parts of the Caribbean, it's literally the same people as well.
Well, it's like I only found out like maybe as recently as 10 years ago that you know Kumbaya, the song.
Yeah.
That's a spiritual song, you know, about slaves. Yeah. It means like, I think it means come to me now, but it's basically like
sorry.
Yeah, it's from it's sung by it's from a dialect of people called the Gullah Geechee, who were
do you know from where?
I think they're from some of the islands that are just off either the coast of like New York and the States and stuff. But I think who is it? I think Charlemagne himself. Yeah, Charlemagne. He's descended from the Gullah Geechee and stuff as well. So yeah, so I read it in his book that that Kumbaya is like it's actually a black tune.
We just have a quick comment from Daniel Kadua, Daniel K. He says laugh out loud. When he's young, it's even worse. Please slew Jim Jones' mum.
No.
It's true though. It's a bit. And big up to DJ Knowledge. He says, I thought back to the what you said about the life expectancy of doctors and nurses. I thought the life expectancy of doctors and nurses were considerably less because of being around sick people in opposed to the stress.
I mean,
I think it's a bit of both.
Either
I think it's both.
It could be both. That's a very valid point to say to somebody, but at the same time, it's like these people are sacrificing their own life expectancy for you to live, so maybe you should listen to them as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but it's just, you know, it's just one of these things where like they are. We all know that they're not all heroes wear capes. They wear scrubs and Crocs.
I'm going to mention one really quick piece of news, because Dane, we've got like 25 minutes left in the show. We haven't asked you any questions.
Yeah, let's interview Dane.
But I've enjoyed myself nonetheless.
I know, it's been amazing. I'm not going to lie. But in one piece of quick news, we had Spice and Itana. Both made history this week because they were both nominated for Best Grammy in the Reggae Award. Best Grammy for the Reggae category, sorry. Yeah. Can't even get my words out. I'm trying to say it too quick. But unfortunately, the actual ceremony has been postponed. So hopefully that still goes ahead.
Right.
That is still quite an immense thing for both of those artists. We had Itana with Pajo, I want to say. And then you had 10 for Spice as well. So these are quite big things for the culture. So I hope that they still, one of those ladies wins, because I'm massive fans of both. So guys, you've joined us both, all of us here today. You've heard us all talking about everything and anything under the sun. We've got with us today, you've got my co-host Ryan Skillit Albert, and you've also got Dane Baptiste. Dane, can I do like a cheesy intro for you, please?
Of course you can.
Okay, so Dane. So I won't read it how I've written it, because I was like, let me properly introduce you to my guest today, Dane Baptiste. So he was born in South London.
Correct.
So I picked up the right page, yeah?
Yeah.
Hither Green, to Grenadian parents.
Yeah.
Okay, so which part of Grenada is your family repping?
My dad's from St. Patrick. My mum's actually from Carriacou, but most people are just like,
No, we know.
Yeah, Caribbeans know. Yeah, but
Carriacou, Petit Martinique, Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
Even Ryan, you've got some Grenadian blood in you, know?
I think so.
Your brother told me, yeah.
From my mum's side.
Tobago's quite close to Grenada. So yeah.
I think from my mum's side, I think.
Yeah. Dane is a British, and I've put Black British presenter, writer and stand-up comedian. In 2014, he became the first Black British act to be nominated for the Best Newcomer Award at the Edinburgh Comedy Awards.
Come on.
Can we do that? Can we do that?
Thank you very much.
Smooth, right?
It means it means the most. If you air horn, listen, the air horn's where it's at. So
no, but that's amazing. That's like a massive.
You know how many people go through that circuit as well?
Yeah, because we know comedians.
It's the biggest art festival in the world.
Yeah, so
it is. It's humongous. Yeah. Congratulations. In 2016, his comedy series Sunny D, which I watched, premiered on BBC Three. In 2021, Dane's comedy pilot Bamus launched on BBC Three and BBC One, and that was amazing as well, because you had somebody that I've met quite a few times, Fania Moore, in there as well, and quite a few people in there, and it was amazing. And you've made numerous TV and radio appearances, and you have you present, and you've got your own podcast as well. Dane Baptiste questions everything.
Yeah.
He's also on the ZZ Mills. You're a co-host on the ZZ Mills show?
Oh no! I was a regular panelist on the show with ZZ and Yinka Bikini called Unapologetic.
Yes, you were.
But I also have a web series called The 8th of Blackness, which is on YouTube now.
I was watching that.
Yeah.
So I saw one, and it was like you're covering plantain, because everybody in this room knows that it said plantain.
Yeah. But some people don't know that, and rather than continue to ridicule them, I'd like to educate them.
Some people say plantation.
Who?
Some white people.
Oh.
Me and my brother nearly thump up a guy. I know, this is a true story. Me and my brother, shout out to my boy Marcel. We nearly thump up this white guy in a Caribbean restaurant.
He said plantation.
He walked
to
in.
Black
He said,
people.
"Can I have?" He said, "Can I have some jerk chicken, rice and peas, and some plantation?" And there was like a big pause. And then the guy behind the counter was like, "You mean plantain?" And the man was just like, he froze, and he could just feel the tension. But we left him alone. It could have been a real slippery night.
But we thank you for your business, mistaken white man, and for all of your malapropisms. We appreciate
Thank you, Mr. Racist.
We appreciate your business. Yeah.
Exactly.
So so your family was from Grenada and Carriacou.
Yeah.
And would you say that your Caribbean background has had any impact on your comedy and your style?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, just making people be aware of the Caribbean, including myself, because one of the things I did, I guess, was a big influencer, was I went on a Caribbean cruise in 2001. And that was like eye-opening for me. And I feel like for a lot of British Caribbeans or second and third generation Caribbeans in this country, we're only aware of the British West Indies.
Yes.
And so
it's true.
Yeah. And that, I mean, and that's based on, that's how you could argue. I say it's a function of what's called paternalism, in the same way that like there are a lot of English people who do not know that much about continental Europe and don't necessarily consider themselves part of it. I think it's very similar. Like a lot of Caribbean people were aware of the British West Indies because that's all we're educated about. So I went there and found out.
It's manifested itself would be, not everybody would say the Dominican or St. Lucian.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't maybe the popular countries that came here as well.
Most people know about West Indies through cricket.
Yeah.
So that's opposed to their extent. So they don't understand there's small countries within that as well.
Yeah.
So they just
And
see
the
the West Indies as,
dynamics.
so they see that what they see is rather than individual nations which may have some cultural parallels, they just see like an archipelago of islands that all come under the West Indies. So for me, it was eye-opening for me to like see the French West Indies and the Dutch West Indies. And so I was like, there's a whole world of my culture out there with so many dimensions that I didn't know about. So I want to be, but I've had the privilege to be able to see it. So I want to be able to disseminate that within my work, because what it made me realize is that my Caribbean experience, I don't have a monopoly on a Caribbean experience, and I don't want anyone to feel like I'm invalidating their experience if they don't know about this stuff.
Because we all have a black experience, but when you go back home, people are diverse in terms of race,
very diverse,
nationality.
Well, even in this country,
everything.
I'm still meeting people now who are like black people based in Scotland and black people based in Wales, and even if they make up one of like, you know, a 1% of a population, their black experience is no less valid than my own. So it made that I wanted to make sure that my narrative was a lot more universal than making it too nuanced, where I'm like, I maybe use Grenadian inflections when I talk or talk about something else. So it's like, if you are a black person who
Can you do the accent?
Sometimes out of push. I'm no major hype, but I'll give it a go.
Where's he from though?
This is the mystery. People say, some say he's from Grenada and some say he's from Jamaica. I'm not sure where he's from. I love what he does. I love what he does, because like I said, it was like, I didn't know until I went on a cruise that there are black people from Panama and from Belize.
And they have Gary Funo there, and they've got everything. It's so diverse.
It's so diverse. And so for me, it was like, it did inform me in my work that there is such a richness within the culture itself.
Yeah.
That using terms like West Indian and Caribbean and black can be
limiting.
They're very limiting, yeah. So I don't want people's minds to be limited in terms of what they understand about the Caribbean. But most importantly, I want Caribbean people to feel that the culture has so many elements and nuance to it that is accessible to all of us. Like even sometimes I'd hear like black people flippantly say stuff like, I try to listen to other types of music. Like I don't just listen to black music. I'm like, what does that even mean? Because you've already mentioned 3 different sounds that vary by nation, from St. Lucia, from Dominica.
And they're completely different.
Different. So
and they're not big stretches of water between them either.
But they're completely different.
Nuanced,
so it's like, I get that if you want to be eclectic, but the odds are you've not even dipped your toe into the full richness within your own culture. And you know, and that's the thing, is that I wish more of us knew about it. We would probably be less inclined to want to go to places like just going to the Emirates to go on holiday, or going to like the Mediterranean, like, or the Balearics. Like if people in the like Caribbean people knew, like you could go to the British West Indies. Like my family, we showed up at Martinique. I've never been in an island
from there.
Caribbean people that don't speak English. Like my head, it blew my mind. Like everyone was speaking French. I was like, they call it Black Paris. I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea that it was like that. Like you go to St. Bart or St. Martin, and then what's mad is that, and then I went to Rotterdam Carnival. So luckily I was a bit more savvy by the time I got to Rotterdam Carnival. But Dutch West Indians, they laugh at us because they think that we're boorish, and they think that we're like common, and we're like, why you talking like this? Where's my pie and mash? That's how they see us. So for me, again, it was eye-opening, and again, it's informed me whereby like, I have had
they just mug us off just like that.
Yeah, because the same way Europeans, it's the way Europeans look at English people, that we're boorish and common and stuff. Yeah, that's how they look at us. Like you want Brexit and stuff, and they're like, "Well, I'm not done. I'm an English guy. I want to sweep your chimney." That's how they see us. So for me, it was just being open to like meeting other nuanced Caribbean experiences. Because if you're someone who's Surinamese, or you're from Guadeloupe and you're based in the Netherlands, they have, because a lot of the time, even when you live in London, we think, well, this is one of the most diverse places in the country.
It really is.
Suriname is one of the most diverse places on the planet. You've got Caribbean, you've got Amerindian, you've got African, you've got Indonesian, East Indian, all of those cultures, plus Dutch in a melting pot. So then when you go to like the Netherlands, you go to like places like Amsterdam and Rotterdam, you're seeing that variety as well as Caribbeans that are based there, as well as people from the Bahamas that's based there.
Diverse people.
Yeah, and that's for me, is that like, it's like a almost private artistic mission of mine, that like, if I can have a style of comedy or just drop something that all of the black Europeans, all the members of the diaspora can all feel, like that is my goal artistically.
Don't you think that's reflected in our families though? Because as much as I'm very black and proud, when you look at like your family, your cousins, everybody can look very different because of the melting pot that we generally
This is it. And it's so weird, because a lot of the time we've been, again, inculcated with this idea that for us to seek nuance, even in our own aesthetic, we will say stuff like, oh, we want a black girl, we want it to be mixed with this and be mixed with this. It's like, if you go to the Caribbean, we have it all. If you want a dark-skinned woman with blue eyes, you will find it in the Caribbean. If you want a light-skinned woman with brown hair, if you want a dark-skinned woman with blonde hair, like we have it all.
And they can all actually be blood as well because of our genetic makeup.
Exactly, because
is it phenotype and genotype? I always get that confused.
So our genotype is our genes, and then the phenotype is how it is expressed and how we look. Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's the phenotype, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But by that same token, obviously, African women have what's called, they refer to as the Eve gene. So it means they've been able to test and that African and black women have mitochondrial DNA for all phenotypical expressions of women. So it means you have, like, even if you look at like what women look like in Nigeria versus what women look like at the Horn of Africa in, like, you know, women from Eritrea versus how women look in South Africa versus even how women look in
Nigeria. There's so many different.
There you go, because then you got
people.
There you go. So
I don't like to generalize.
So for me, it's like there's so much diversity there that, like, I guess my goal would be like when I'm also like I want to be doing like the travel log. Like I want to like David Odosogwin. I want to go to all the Caribbean and show the dimensions of it. Yeah, big him up.
Can we shout out Fiona Compton as well for Know Your Caribbean, because I love everything that she does.
Yeah.
She's like everything that we've been speaking about in terms of like education about the Caribbean and like an actual historian, and she's very sexy as well. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, and I think it's so important because I always say it's
she's
like
sexy.
Okay. Her mind is sexy. Her mind is sexy.
No, she's actually on point.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to catch you out, but it's not working.
No, you can't. No, Dave's he's ahead of the game, man.
He's such a hater.
But
she's actually somebody that I want to shout out because she's somebody I'd love to have on the show as well when you guys meet, because
it'll happen.
She literally can tell you about like the different types of people and how we transitioned and like where some of the things that we do and say, where they come from as well. I really
so
like
then you seem very passionate about that, so that's something that you think that's on the cards.
I love it.
But also I just think it's a good psychological exercise. I think even when we look about representation stuff like that, people don't understand what it does for your self-image to see someone that reflects you just 100. On a billboard.
It's true.
Just on a billboard, just seeing someone that looks like you, seeing eating in a dinner in a TGI Fridays advert. Like these things really do make a difference to your self-image.
A lot of people don't understand that.
And people don't understand that.
I don't get how people don't understand that.
Well, and they don't understand how it plays out. If you only see a certain dimension or image of yourself, like, and it's negative, then you, like anyone else watching that, is going to have a negative. You will have a negative self-image, but there'll be an outward negative perception of you too.
Correct.
Whereas if you're seeing more positive representations of yourself, then you're like, well, I can do this or I can aspire to this because I've seen something that looks like me doing the same thing as well.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big thing for you. When I think of you and your career, when I think of you and your stand-up, when I think of you and your comedic writing, and you've got Bamus as well. Bamus. I'm sorry if I pronounce that incorrectly.
Bamus, you got it right.
Bamus. That's been a big thing for you, is like representation, so people can see somebody.
Absolutely. Because when I went to university, for example, like I went to uni like over 10 years ago, when the way things are now with social media and that's not how it was, When you went first Birmingham, they didn't see no black people. Unless you knew your family or you in specific places or certain metropolitan places, like whether you was in Leeds, to a lesser extent, maybe Manchester.
Yeah.
People do not see black people. Not only do they not see black people, this was happening at a time where, again, people forget. You see, 20 years ago, they was getting rid of black people on TV. There was like a golden era where you had like A-Force, The Real McCoy, you had Get Up, Stand Up, you had Normski, but there was not, it wasn't, but it was in American, but it wasn't perfect.
You're talking about the UK.
It was
show.
there. You're talking about UK.
UK shows.
It wasn't perfect, but it was there. Even on Channel 4, you would get a little bit of black cinema, a few John Singleton films and Spike Lee stuff.
In the morning,
that's what I'm saying to you. It was still there.
The Bollywood movies, we had some representation.
There was some representation. This all disappeared, and we didn't even notice it. And what happened was we get replaced. So you're not seeing no black people leading a show on TV, but you might see them in the background on Ali G. You're not seeing black people actually leading
an interracial couple. No offense to that, because there's nothing wrong in that. That's where you might see the capacity that they'll be in.
But even then, we talk about that's more of a that's still a politically that's still considered black, because Barack Obama has a white mother and everyone said he's the first black president. So even that's no one's ever thrown half a banana on a football pitch. So even for me, but perfect. You know, so we can say mixed race and we can give all these we can preface all of these racial identities, but at the end of the day, if we know
he's still black.
If you're mixed, if you're mixed race, if you're a mixed race person,
Marley's black.
Yeah, to me,
that's how I see it.
Hasn't he got a white mother?
Well, there you go. It's
white
dad, father. Yeah.
There you go.
So at the same time, if you're mixed,
Marley, a white man called Marley. Okay.
You can put your picture next to other white people and you'll see the difference.
Yeah.
Whereas going back to what I was saying before, if you want to see people with varying complexions throughout the Caribbean, you'll get that. But what happened was there was a period in time where you were not seeing black people, particularly in comedy and music.
But you made the point we went backwards. We had it and then we went back.
We went backwards. And what happened was that we were removed and imitations like Phone Jacker, you had like George Agwengo being an African person, but no Nigerian people were on TV. So you had a long 2 decades.
Is it bad that I laughed at that show?
No, you should be laughing because it's crazy. When you look back on it, it's crazy. It is funny, but like, it's funny, but we all know 20 Nigerian people that can do that job standing on their head upside down and do that whole thing. Because Samson Ko did it in Famalam years later, so we know it can be done.
Thank you.
But what happened was, for 20 years, approximately a generation, you have an entire demographic of young black children or members of diaspora, working class people who didn't see themselves on TV for a long time.
It's bad.
And so because of that, you have audiences that don't even seek to find black comedy or any kind of aesthetic on TV because it's not there. Which is why it worked, because it meant we needed to innovate, and that's where you saw the rise of the internet comedians and internet sketches, because where else would these black creatives go? Because they couldn't go through normal channels.
Yeah.
So when I got into comedy, obviously I studied business at university. When I got into comedy,
Me too.
I had to kind of think that, you know...
Where did you study?
I studied Bradford in School of Management. And then like, when I came out now, I'm like, I've already had the social experience of being like, people are not savvy to black people as you think they are. Like, if you lived in London and you listen to Garage as part of that scene, you think, oh, we're in there. We weren't in there. We were not in there at all. So we're not in there. But after So Solid, it disappeared. It disappeared. So for me, it was like, if I'm not only going to have to be a part of a scene, you're almost going to have to kind of create one. Because then when I started playing black rooms, because what happened with comedy, from what I can see, is for when they started, the last thing they did was locking off raves. So if you was trying to go partying from 2006 onwards, not in London, you're not.
Yeah.
You might get a thing every blue moon in Watford or somewhere or Luton, but they was killing off raves as well. Yeah. So essentially,
do you remember when we could go to party at a certain time and you didn't go home?
On a Friday, my thing started off in Lewisham and I finished off in Streatham because I'd go from Lewisham to Ministry to then go Old Kent Road and go Scene and all over, like I said.
And we come back in the morning, like the next day,
there
like 10 o'clock,
and then
9
even
o'clock.
then, I'm chilling on Saturday to go Sound on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then you had Gas Club and 291, like, so.
Can I shout out one of the DJs for Paddy Sal? Because he actually used to play at Sound on Sunday, and that's Drizzy Freckles.
Big up Drizzy.
Yeah.
But all this disappeared, didn't it? So you had a whole generation of children who didn't have anything that looked like themselves coming up, and the closest they got to was maybe Funky House. And even then, Funky House was supposed to kind of replace Garage, but never really got to the same heights, if we're honest. Yeah,
and I guess the Grime Nights was a different thing.
Yeah, or Boiler Room and all the other stuff like that. Again,
Eskimo dance.
I remember when Grime started getting a bit of thing, and then they got rid of it. Yeah. So then what you saw instead was then you saw the Tiny Tempers, where he had to kind of definitely dilute who he was.
Yep.
Even Labyrinth, who was like a rapper and producer.
Oh yeah, he was amazing.
Because he said what happened with him, because he's now based in the States. Because he said that what happened with me is that because I came out with the Tiny Temper, then I'm doing songs like Let the Sun Shine, and if you know Labyrinth, like his whole family are musical geniuses. Their whole family is musical geniuses. He's like getting feedback from record labels and execs being like, "Why are you singing? You're a rapper."
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Now you fast forward today, but even fast forward today where, you know, Drake is like the leader of star music, like when Labyrinth was writing, producing, singing, vocalizing, long time. So in this country, we was very, our wiggle room for creativity was very, very stunted, to the point where when I did Sunny D in the end, then I found out that's the first black sitcom written by a black person on TV in this country in over 20 years.
That's history though, bro. You made history there, bro.
Well done.
That's historic.
And even the people in the show, like Bemi Ikamolo, who plays my sister in the show, she was a writer and performance actress, She had never done TV before. People don't know, because she was like a Shakespearean trained actor. She ain't been brought in for TV. You fast forward 5 years, she got a BAFTA.
Amazing.
That's the level of talent.
Congratulations.
That's the level of talent. In the same way that David, who AJ was in that show, hadn't done TV, again, Shakespeare trained. Regular TV.
Can I ask you a
regular TV
question?
now.
So when you did the documentary of Mo, I want to say it was 2020.
Yeah.
And you guys were just talking about black comedians and the history of like black comedy in the UK, many things. And I think one of the things you touched on was like maybe how you guys had to network with each other.
Yeah, definitely.
But also there seems to be like a one at a time kind of mentality as
Massively. And what happens, and that is the experience of black people across all industries, where we are led to believe that there is only one place afforded to us, and so as a result we have to fight amongst ourselves to get it, and that creates
we start to fight.
Yeah, we do,
and
it creates a schism on so many lines. It creates lines along women where guys are like, "Why are women talking about stripping now?" well, you lot was doing it for time. What's the problem? And then it's like, why are these old rappers still trying to do this? Why are these young rappers still trying to do this? Whereas you don't hear Jake Bugg don't say anything about Eric Clapton.
No.
And the Arctic Monkeys don't say anything about Oasis.
No. And if they do, it's behind closed doors. It's not public.
You wouldn't be able to say it in public.
And the Rolling Stones have been going for 9 billion years.
Right. And you know, so much so that within that white music, which in itself is black music because it's rock and roll.
Thank you.
They have the Rolling Stones, or
I like that you got that in there,
all the
by
Rolling
the way.
Stones are is they are from a model where the Beatles, were a four-man or a quartet of white men, that played rock,
Mimicking us.
Yep, mimicking us. Since then, white music has been so enamored by that. Think about how many four-piece bands
Take That, all of them
have gone on. No, that's even worse because that's
We're
the quintet.
from Waltham, so you had E17 rolling around like they Jodeci.
But the quintet.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying to you. But that's how it's sold. That's how it's sold to us. And meanwhile, you got people like the Pasadenas, and then you got people like Damage and MN8, and no one's really. But I'm saying they're no worse, but no, we're not checking for them.
Yeah.
And you look at someone like Damage and how talented it was, but just between Jaden Corey alone. Their man's vocals was crazy.
They're amazing.
Or Ultimate
Can we
Chaos.
give them a shout out as well? Can we do a button?
Or Ultimate Chaos. But see how much...
I like Ultimate Chaos. And wasn't one of their dads Maxi Priest as well?
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah.
Because he went to school in me. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But that's what I'm saying. Why the fact that legacy should be common knowledge.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows
known that
Miley Cyrus's dad is Billy Ray Cyrus. So it should be natural knowledge that we have a legacy of music and that continues. But it's a weird thing where we are... I noticed that it's like we're divided, whereby like even we have the same kind of divisions where north and south. Like for me, it's mad, innit? It's like if you're a black member of the LGBT community, you probably wouldn't even go to like comedy shows early because you're probably gonna hear something that offends your lifestyle, innit?
Yeah.
So my whole thing was that's done.
Yeah.
When I started doing comedy, that's done. So it meant I risked having to make my language and how I delivered comedy less nuanced. So it meant that I'm saying I'm from Grenada, but there'll be some people like, well, you don't really sound like it, but. At the same time, there's people that are from Grenada who've gone to an Ivy League university or they've gone to Oxbridge and they're going to sound even more posh than I am. What we can't do is make them feel excluded if we're trying to have a scene. Because
I hate that.
No one's scene can thrive if we're divided. And this is how we're losing to our compatriots.
But you have people being spoken to saying that, you don't sound black. And I hate that kind of thing because you cannot tell somebody what black is.
Because all that's happened in that vacuum is now you're seeing this emergence of a lot of black conservatives who they postulate as intellectuals because they have grown up in this idea that if I'm intelligent and if I'm politically astute, that's not how I identify with other black people. So for me, it was like, that has to end, innit? I don't care if you're a black person and you want to do cosplay, if you're a black person and you are from the LGBT community, if you're trans, at the end of the day, your experience is no less valid than my own, innit? And where we go from there afterwards, that is your choice.
Can I be a cheeky counter?
Yeah.
And ask you about identity again?
Yes.
So you was on the show Unapologetic.
Did
you like my segue there?
Yeah.
Was that smooth?
That was smooth.
So you might have been on the show Unapologetic with Yinka and Zizi. So I don't know if they're going to watch this. They probably won't, but I love you ladies. So you were on that show a couple of weeks ago and it went viral on social media.
A long time now, though, isn't it? It is.
What's a long time? Like 2 weeks?
Has it been was it on 2 weeks ago?
No, I'm exaggerating.
About a month now.
Okay,
about a month.
Yeah,
I like to exaggerate on Caribbean, right? And there was an interaction with White Yardie. We'll just name everybody here. We're being respectful too. For anyone not aware, he was a panelist on the show. And one of the other panelists, not yourself, asked him about his identity as well. Can we talk about that and what happened? And
I mean, we can talk about it. On the show, as you saw, I had no words.
You didn't say anything.
Yeah, in fact, the only thing I did say, I'm not sure it made the edit, but they asked me what I thought, and I was like, I agree with White Yardie that if he wants to claim being Jamaican, he is free to do so.
Yeah,
that's what I said on the show. Because it's your national identity.
Yeah,
it does, and it's just that there is the conflation of national and racial identity when it applies to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Now, there was a lot of backlash towards the other panelist who asked him about his identity.
Did he come off social media?
He had to come off social media because he was called as being doxied. Now, my only thing is that I don't agree with what he said. No, actually, no. Let me rephrase that. Because he said, when did you decide to be Jamaican?
Yeah.
And a lot of people took umbrage with this fact that he is still challenging White Yardie's national identity. Now, whether he has the right, whether it's right for him to do so, that's all subjective. However, as a Caribbean person, which White Yardie is, you should be used to people questioning your identity on a regular basis.
It's what happens to us
because
as well.
as a Jamaican, more than any of us,
we've got 1 minute as well, guys.
More than any of us, he would be aware that as a Jamaican, several Jamaicans who were born in the UK, who have come over here as children like he has done, have been being deported throughout the Windrush scandal en masse. And they're having their documents being destroyed all the time. So really and truly, I would say, you know, it looked like it might have been very awkward, but whether you are white or black, as a Caribbean person, having your national identity questioned is a part of our daily experience. So really, that really just made White Yardie authentic to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Guys,
Awesome.
I'm going to have to wrap this up. It's been amazing. We've talked so much.
Thank you for joining us, Dane. You've been an amazing
thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you. I hope I've answered questions. If anyone wants to know any more about what I'm doing,
the way you listen to radio.
YouTube, my YouTube series, A to the Blackness. Check it out.
I'm going to put it in the I'm going to put in the links underneath as well. Dane, Ryan, thank you so much.
No,
it
my
was
pleasure.
amazing.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you guys again. And see you soon.
You're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
Hey, this is music producer Reggie Marks, and you're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way that you listen to radio.
This is Noel Gordine. You're listening to
iLive Radio.
Say that again. Say that again.
Changing the way you listen to radio.
What's up, everybody? This is Minnie Manchester, and you're listening to iLive Radio. Changing the way you listen to radio.
The Soulfest Lounge returns this new year, Wednesday the 19th of January 2022, with hosts Julie Payne and the Soulfest Lounge UK band at the Night Owl, 5 Station Place,